So, das hier werden jetzt die Rules von Payeer, die Payeer Rules. Video 2. Und weiter geht's. Ja, eben, das sind die Rules von Payeer. Und das ist eben so ein bisschen komisch, also werde ich jetzt einfach mal von diesem Anfang hier bis hier lesen. Im Video 2. Und dann gucken wir weiter. Also, 2.2 Customers shall be responsible for compliance with applicable legislation, including legislation on combating the legislation of proceeds from crime and terrorist financing, of cash and cashless payments, on personal data, protection, tax legislation, banking law, currency legislation. Each customer shall be solely responsible for the compliance of their actions in the implementation of operations, in the SS requirements, PS, and legal requirements for any operations performed by it in connection with the implementation of operations in the SS through or with the assistance of the software Payeer other than Payeer, other data processing systems, telecommunications. 2.4 The customer shall be solely responsible for taking the necessary measures to ensure the security of transactions carried out by the client in the MS, including in accordance with the service's internal Uzloviyami offer, regulations, and other documents in the field of information security. Available on the client computer as well as on any other medium which interacts with the computer at the time, working with PS, malware, backdoors, worms, Trojan horses, viruses, rootkits, malicious payloads, as well as and other malware, lays responsibility for all losses incurred when using the PS to the client. 2.6 The client guarantees that he has all necessary knowledge to use the PC. When using the PS. 2.7 When using the PS must be installed on the compute. When using the PS must be installed on the client computer. Antivirus with an updated database, not later than the date on which made entry into the SS, while before operating the PS client undertakes in any case update the database antivirus installed. Firewall and an updated version of the browser Firefox, Opera, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, or other programs for viewing web pages, web application, an updated version of the operating system, and all installed software. Customers' funds, anonymization, proxy service, SOX server, distributed network of anonymous type, Tor, and so on, is strictly forbidden when using the PS. Violation of this requirement imposes full responsibility for any damages and or loss of profits on the client. The customer undertakes not to use the access to the SS for any illegal activities. In case of violation of the requirements of the service, has the right to block the login and or carried out by its operation until the final decision by the court and or other public authority with respect to the client's funds in his wallet. 2.10 Customer warrants that his internet activity does not conflict with the generally recognized principles and norms of morality. 2.11. The customer undertakes to carry out the connection to communicate with the PS only through legitimate providers and methods of communication, internet, mobile, etc. 2.12. Other provisions. 2.13. The parties are relieved from liability for failure of mutual obligations in case of their failure was caused by force majeure circumstances which have arisen after their accession to this offer, or the occurrence of extraordinary events, which could not be prevented or foreseen before their accession to this offer, party in respect of which the force majeure is obliged to put the other party notified no later than 10 days after the occurrence of the circumstances. In case 2.14, in cases not covered by this offer, failure or improper fulfillment of the obligations on it entails responsibility in accordance with the legislation of the Georgia. 3. Order of interaction. Controversial and emergencies. 3.1. In the event of disputes and emergency events that caused operational disruptions, including in the case of suspected key compromise, the customer shall promptly inform the system for contact details about these situations and events, their causes and consequences in any way available to customers. 3.2. Further actions of the parties determined individually for each treatment on the agreement of the parties, and may also be regulated wholly or partially, relevant contracts or individual internal documents of the parties. 3.3. All disputes arising in the course of using the PS of the offer shall be settled through negotiations. 3.4. The basis of negotiations is the direction of a written complaint by one party to the other party. 3.5. The claim is considered within 30 days of its receipt. Then the party which has received the claim or meets the stated requirements of the other party, or to make written reasoned refusal. 3.6. If the dispute cannot be resolved in the complaint procedure within 60 days, either party may apply to the court at the location of the service. 3.7. Return is possible only in the case of funds that have been credited to the customer's account by the payment application for the purchase of EDS. Bank commission on return may reach 3% of the amount of the initial payment. 4. Other conditions and risk for acts of God. Other conditions and risk for acts of God. Okay. Acts of God. 4.1. System Payeer does not responsible related risks are not dependable on the company, including force majeure entailing a complete or partial loss of security funds in the account of the client, such as a fire or other restrictions on access to the means of providing proven reserves of digital currency, bank bailouts, payment systems, and other cases related to the complete or partial restriction of access to the provision of digital currency Payeer on the client's account. Four point one. The database service have priority over the database records of the client and other subjects of PS in the proof of the authenticity of the respective electronic orders and notifications. 4.2. The customer may not transfer to third parties the rights and obligations arising from the collaboration with the service as part of the SS without the prior written consent of the service. 4.3. All messages with the service relating to the implementation of operations in the SS sent by the sender in the form of a written document and signed by an authorized representative or the head of the organization of the sender and its seal by registered mail or courier with the sender and its seal by registered mail or courier service to the postal address given as the contact details of the service or electronic communication using software Payeer. Annex number 1. To the public offer for access to system services Payeer. List of categories of goods, services prohibited, limited for service in the Payeer. Goods and services prohibited service in the Payeer. Narcotic, psychotropic, and hallucinogenic drugs and substances, tobacco products and smoking mixes. Precious. Oh, these are products that you cannot use the payment service Payeer. Okay, I got it. Tobacco products and smoking mixes, precious stones and metals and articles thereof. The former used cosmetics, malicious software, arms and ammunition, hazardous and perishable goods, personal data of individuals. The system has the right to refuse to perform in the system Payeer operations that violate the provisions of this annex. 5. Before registering, the customer confirms that the requirements of this annex have read and fully agree with them. And Anti-Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Financing Policy werde ich im nächsten Video vorlesen. Im Video Payeer Rules Video 3. Bis dann, gebt mir ein Like und einen Kommentar, ob es verständlich war, ob du auch Englisch verstehst, weil ich mache ein deutsches Video, in dem ich Englisch vorlese. Das ist natürlich auch was Neues. Und teile es mit deinen Freunden, wenn sie sich überlegen, Payeer E-Wallet zu machen. Und ja, dann freue dich aufs nächste Video und viel Spaß. Bis dann. Tschüss.